everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Apologetically Me. I'm Maggie.
I'm Wanda.
And we're here with part 2 of Maggie and Wanda Are Dating. We're going to be joined by special guest Kathy, and we're going to be talking about during and after the relationship. I don't have a lot of experience, but Wanda and Kathy do, so hopefully they give a lot of insight. Not a lot. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like you guys are like hoes and like go through relationships like crazy. I just, I don't know what it's like for an official one.
Also, that's
But
okay as well. Feel free
yeah,
to go through as
totally
many
fine.
relationships as you want.
Yeah, no big deal. But I will call Nick on this podcast and be like, "Hey, let's do a fake breakup right now." JK, I will not be doing that. I think that's toxic. Anyways, let's move on. Wanda, tell the people what you got going on.
Okay, so I guess my update this week is that I have officially been accepted into the PhD program that I've applied for. I've not told Maggie this yet because I was waiting for the podcast to tell her. So this is the real, genuine reaction.
Oh my god. Congratulations. This is insane. You're Dr. Wanda.
Yeah, it is coming to life.
Oh my god. Congratulations. Holy shit, you're Dr. Wanda.
Yeah, so I've now instituted a rule where everyone close to me has to call me doctor. But if I ever become an actual academic, I'm not going to make any of my students call me doctor because I think that's kind of like a weird power trip.
Because you're cool. You're the cool doctor.
I don't know if you had this too, but like the professors that like introduce themselves as their name and they're like just feel free to call me by my first name. Those were always the professors that I respected more.
You're right. Damn, congratulations. This is exciting.
Thank you.
Oh my, how does your mom feel? Is she over the moon?
Yeah, she was like way happier than I was because she did not think I was going to get accepted because I think she overinterpreted a tone in an email or something, and she was like, "Oh my god, you're not going to get in. It's going to be a hassle, all this stuff. You're going to have to take a master's program all over again, and et cetera, et cetera." But now she's like, "I can't wait until you get your official offer. I'm going to screenshot it and post it onto my WeChat moments, and so I can brag about you." I'm like, "Mom, please."
Aww, so cute. You're my most educated friend.
Yeah, I am now I will be the most educated person in my family.
Damn, this is exciting. This is a lot of school. How long is the program?
You have 3 years to finish it. So it's not that long. I won't be 30 when I graduate. My program is a lot shorter, which is like kind of the reason why I chose like the University of Guelph part of it, tiny bit. What is your update for this week?
My update is I honestly don't have any updates. Oh, I have a really busy like month coming up. Like almost every weekend I'm doing something, which is like pretty insane for me. I'm proud of this. My pimples and stuff, my update, they have gotten a little bit better. I am not crying over them anymore. Maybe I was just feeling emotional. But I'm a little over it. I'm still sad about it. It's not great. Not a great look for me. But you know what? We're trudging through. Every day gets a little bit better, Maggie. That's my update.
That's a great attitude too.
I mean, I have to be. I can't be like, "Hey guys, I fucking hate myself. I want to peel my skin off." I feel like that's not the vibe we want on this podcast. What's your beef or crush of the week?
Okay, so I just got the beef today, hot and fresh off the oven. Oh. Anyways, we went specifically for 9 p.m. because that's when Milestones has their happy hour. And I love cheap drinks. Me loves a happy hour. So we specifically wait till we get seated at like 8:54. We specifically wait to order at 9:04 so that we can get happy hour. And then, so we got drinks and everything. And then like Jordan ended up paying for the bill, entirely because, we congratulated Parabi, I guess. It was like an $8 drink. But anyways, it's the thought that counts. What ended up happening though was I didn't get to see the bill, even though I normally like take a look at it just because I've had a few occurrences where things have not added up properly or like things have been added to it by accident. Anyways, I like to look at the bill. I like to see it itemized and everything. This is the one time that I didn't, and I didn't pay, so I didn't look at all. This morning, I woke up, I started thinking about it. I was like, I saw how much after tip it was, and I did some math, and I know how much like Jordan normally tips. I'm like, this is like, there's no way that he tipped $15 on like a $40, like less than $40 meal. So I'm like, wait a second. I did the math and they did not charge us the happy hour prices. They charged us normal pricing for the drinks and stuff. So like even though it was just like a $6-7 difference, it's about the principle. And
Hmm.
I'm upset about it
How dare they?
because like we specifically waited for it. Okay, what's your beef?
So my beef is, well, let me paint you a picture. So I was at Gabby's belated birthday party yesterday. And her cousins decided to say, I mean, no, everyone was very nice, very welcoming. Like they were like, they made me feel like I was one of them, like honorary Filipino. But they said that when I smile, I look like Chris Aquino, and this is the daughter of the late Filipino senator. Quickly look this up. We will put a picture in it. But they said that when I smile, I look like Chris Aquino. And I looked up Chris Aquino, and this lady is 50 years old. And I was like, what the hell? You think I look like a 50-year-old? Like, did I do something to you guys? Let me smile now for reference. Wait, no, that was a bad smile. That was a bad smile too.
Oh,
Okay,
but
but
she's pretty. Okay, she's 50, so like keep that in mind when evaluating how pretty she is. Like she looks like someone who could be on Empire Bling.
yeah, she looks like a crazy rich Asian.
Yeah. Which like kind of a compliment.
Isn't she looks like old?
What we could do is we could Photoshop your smiles, just your smiles next to each other and see let's see how it looks.
I will not be doing that for us. I think it's the smile lines. I think that's what it is. Like everyone has smile lines, but that's my beef because she's 50 years old and I'm not 50. I'm 25, guys. I'm half that age.
If we think back to a few episodes ago where people kept on confusing Maggie and her mom as sisters.
Are you trying to say that I look 50?
No, I'm just saying that it's not the first time this has happened to
Hmm,
you.
interesting. But it's cute though because Gabby's other cousins, I asked them like, "Hey, how old do you guys think I am?" Oh, because the one girl, so the one girl is like 8 years old, and she was like, "Hey, I don't know if you had this like back in your day, like in school for math, but my math is like really hard. I don't know if like your math is the same." And I was like, "What? Like, I feel like your math and my math is probably the same." And she's like, "Oh, you learned about the metric system and everything, like how to do like how to convert like inches and centimeters to meters." And I was like, "Yes, we learned this too." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know why it's just like so hard right now. So I don't know if you had to do this too, like back in your day." And I was like, "How old do you think I am? Like, if you had to guess." And she was like, I think you're like 20." And then the other girl was like, "I think you were 18." And I was like, "You know what? I'll take this as a compliment. I don't know if he's just saying that to get on my good side, but I am 25." Yeah.
Did you think that you use like an abacus or something?
Okay, we are back with our favorite guest, one of our favorite guests, Kathy. No, everyone else, we love everyone else too. But, Kathy's one of our favorites. Kathy, what's new? Tell the people like what you got going on.
Well, Ontario's opening up lockdown wise, and I feel like I just went on a staycation. We went to an escape room and a restaurant. Today to the beach. World's opening up. Feels good.
You look pretty tan right now. Maybe it's the lighting, but like
I
you look
know.
tanned.
Yeah, yeah. We just got back from a trip to BC as well. Yeah.
Woohoo! And also
Baxter Wants.
you are graduated now, right?
Yes, I just
And
graduated.
and so you're basically full-fledged lawyer. You will be starting your career in a few days, a month.
Yeah, in a few weeks. Still in the licensing process, but it's one step closer.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Thanks.
Damn. Listeners, we got some educated ladies up in here. I am the most uneducated one here, but you know what? It's all good. Okay, so this episode, we're going to be talking about during the relationship and after the relationship. We got some experts in here. They're going to share their point of views and life experiences with us so that we can learn from their mistakes and they can share their wisdom with us. I don't know. I'm sure everyone has some mistakes. I didn't mean to say like you always make mistakes. Like I, for example, have not gone through this, the after part of it. And I would love to know like what it's like. Like how do I cope and everything? All the feelings you go through. What am I gonna expect? Fingers crossed I don't, but like, you don't know what could happen. Anyways, before I make matters worse, let's talk about during the relationship. Okay, so in your opinion, what is, I guess, the best stage in during the relationship? It's kind of a vague question. I realize this, but I mean like the early stages, the mid stages, towards the end. Like what stage during the relationship is the best? I don't know if that makes sense, but Kathy, tell me what you think.
Well, I remember in the last episode, you two touched on the honeymoon stage, and I think that's a really exciting part of it with anyone new that you're dating, where you're just learning new things about the other person. You're still on the discovery page, and everything is new and interesting, and you're just enriching each other's lives with these fun new facts. And it's like a new friend that you want to like tell everything to, and you want to learn from them. That's actually a good one. What do you think, Wanda?
Yeah, my favorite is near the end. No, I'm kidding. I just thought that was hilarious that that was one of
Yeah,
the stages that you brought up. Like, who's going to say that that's their favorite part?
the favorite part was when we broke up.
Yeah, like right before the breakup, best time of my life. But I think my favorite is like the middle. So like I mentioned this last episode and at Nicholas for calling me out on it and saying why don't I like getting to know people and why don't I like the stage? I do like it. It's just not my favorite. I like it when they already know everything about me. They like my likes, dislikes, all that stuff. We've settled into like a comfortable rhythm. And like while it's like it's not the honeymoon stage, which is also really fun and interesting. I think it's more like real life. Like it feels such that they've formed a spot in your life already. Like they fit into your life and like you have all those things figured out and everything. And like, I think that's why. Like I'm a very scheduled person and maybe that's why I like it the best because it's the most like, I don't know, known maybe.
Some context. Nick today was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I listened to some of your podcasts last week, and there was a part where Wanda said she doesn't like the getting to know you stage, and I feel like that's super weird." And at first, and he was like, "I feel like that's kind of weird. Like, don't you want to get to know the other person? Like, you just be like, I'm not going to tell you anything about me. You have to figure it out yourself." Like, he has some beef to pick with you, but I thought that was kind of funny.
I do like learning about new things. I feel like I need to stress this. It's not that I don't like learning about like each and every one of you and like whoever I'm dating. Like I still do enjoy that. I'm just saying it's not my favorite part of the relationship.
Okay, this is fair. Okay, well, I'm like pretty new to all of this. I'm only like 3, almost 4 months into like my first official adult relationship. So I would say I'm going through the motions right now. I think like the best part of it is I think getting to know the person. And maybe it's like, okay, no, it's like, yeah, it's like kind of getting to know them and then having it kind of like come up in little ways where it's like they remember like the little things about you, or like you remember the little things about them, where it's like, oh, sweet, they remembered. And not just talking to a wall. Is the bar low here, ladies?
Makes sense. Yeah, it's very comfortable. I mean, you know, Wong Fu Productions has that famous skit called Strangers Again, where
Mhm.
they outline kind of artificially, but generally the few stages of a relationship. And the comfortable one in the middle is what I think we're talking about, where it's like they know your schedule and you know theirs, and it's just
Mhm.
uphill. It seems like it's just gonna be uphill from then on. You haven't worked on anything substantive, and it's like everything's great. It's always gonna be great. Yeah.
Yeah, that short thing, I've watched that so many times. I I'm going to follow that word by word for my relationship.
Probably don't.
Okay, that ended poorly. Okay, what would you guys say? I mean, I guess we already answered this, but the worst part, I know what Wanda is saying, I guess, like the beginning stages is the worst part.
No, I did not
Oh.
say that.
Basically what you said last episode. You
Okay,
were like, the
no.
beginning stages is kind of the worst, like when you're like your routine's all messed up and like you're trying to get to know each other.
No, the worst part is the like the right before the after. Like the point where you're like in your mind, you know that you're going to break up with someone and you're just
Mm.
like figuring out how to do it. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that is like the worst part when you know that you don't like or love this person anymore and you're still spending time with them. It's like the internal turmoil, the stress, the anxiety of all that stuff. Like that's the worst part for me.
Kathy, would you agree?
Yeah, I guess it differs if you're gonna be the one breaking up or the other person is plotting that and you're not aware. Like that would be different. I guess I'll talk about the other situation where you're kind of blindsided. And I think if you're that person, then the worst stage is where you're trying to like salvage something that has already finished. It's like on its way out the door, and you're just like, "What can I do to fix this?" But you can't, and it sucks knowing that it's the beginning of the end is the worst part.
Maggie?
I don't know. I don't really have. I haven't gone through it. I can only say from my own experience. I think the worst part is like the getting. It's like the very first part, like before you even enter the relationship, because you're stressed out. And I already said that kind of last episode, but I was stressed out the whole time. I was like, "Do you even like me? What's going on here? Why do you take so long to message me back? What's going on? Are you okay? Am I okay? Why am I so stressed out?" But I'll keep you guys updated.
Ideally not, I guess. We hope
Okay,
for the
guys.
best for you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Next week. This is the worst part of the relationship. So what about meeting the parents? What's that always been like for you? What's that always like awkward, tense, like enjoyable? How do you approach it? Let's start with you, Kathy.
This is something that I didn't realize before I met my current partner's parents, but bring a gift, you know? Think about the fact that you should present your presence is not always the only presence that's there. You should bring something. I think it's different if you're meeting the parents, if you're a university student versus if you have a career established. Um, so if you're younger, I think you can get away with just being like, hey, but when you're older, just kind of it's kind of like a job interview. Not that formal, but you should um, put yourself together, put your best foot forward, and just try to get to know them.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's funny because I remember talking to you and I was like getting nervous about meeting like my boyfriend's mom. And you were like, "Oh my God, bring a gift no matter what, bring a gift." And I was like, "Oh my God, I baked something, but it's not that good. I don't know what to do." And you were like, Then maybe don't do it." It
How did it go when you
went well.
presented
They
it?
really liked it.
Good.
Your baked good or you?
Both.
You did end up bringing the baked good.
I did, yeah. I took
Okay.
Kathy's advice, yeah. What about you, Wanda?
So I guess I have a funny story here, but my ex, that I was with for 3 years, I never met their parents because I have an aversion to meeting parents. I had a bad experience, I guess, when I was little. Um, oh, I guess I can tell the story. It was like grade 8. I was hanging out with someone and like their friend. We went to his house and like because he had a pool and everything and like his mom was home and everything and like at that time like I guess like I had a Playboy bikini. It was just a black bikini with like a Playboy on it
Oh,
and like I was like just swimming in it in the pool and stuff and then like we had fun. I left and the next day he texted me being like, "Hey, like my mom thinks that you're like a slut, a whore because like you wore like a Playboy bikini and she thinks that's super inappropriate and everything." And I was like,
what? Why would he tell you that first of all?
yeah, I mean,
Weird.
it wasn't like he wasn't a great person. I actually don't know. I don't remember anything about him. But I remember that story. And then from that moment on, I hated meeting parents because I was just so scared that they were going to judge me immediately and harshly. Um and also because like I have this thing of being like an extroverted person, I feel like I have to talk more and like be impressive versus someone who has more of like an introverted type of I guess personality. Then they're like it's okay if they're quiet, but like I just can't stand quiet. I also don't like small talk. So basically all of these reasons are why I didn't end up meeting my ex parents. I can't believe I got away with that for 3 years.
Yeah, what the hell? For 3 years? Holy shit.
Yeah, it was fortunate that, his parents lived very far away from Toronto, so, um, they didn't really come in often, he didn't really go back often, um, I don't know, it was a very big anxiety point for me because eventually it got to the point where it just became too late to meet the parents. And then I was like, oh God, like I don't like what am I supposed to say when they're like, why didn't you come over for the last 2 years or something? Um, but I did uh meet Jordan's parents, and that one I freaked out a lot about too, but he was like very reassuring about it. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to bring a gift." And then like it was kind of like last
See,
minute. Like
see.
I didn't know that I had to meet them, so I was like I was at the university working like as a research assistant then, and he told me like midway through the day, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't have a gift. Like what do I get? Like how can I get something so last minute?" And then he's like, "Don't worry about it. Like, it just you don't need to bring anything. Like, we have everything set up already." I'm like, "But like, I can't go empty-handed." And then like, I ended up going empty-handed, but I did feel good about it. So I totally 100% agree with the gift thing. Like, just something small, or whatnot. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Is that Asian? Like, is that the Asian in me
Asian
that feels
mentality.
like that? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's usually like even when you're invited to like a party or something, like the stereotype for Asian is like you bring something.
Mhm.
Yes. And never have I ever, when she goes over to Ben's party in the first season, she brings him like taffy or chocolate or something like that because she's like, my mom told me to never show up empty handed.
I agree with that. But
Yeah.
it's weird though because like when Nick was meeting my mom, he was like, "Oh my god, I don't have anything." Oh, this was after. Okay, so let me back up. So basically, when I met his mom, I was like, "No, I need to like bring something." So I didn't want to meet her. We both had like weird anxiety about meeting each other's parents. We're like, "Is this too soon? We're moving too fast." Ah. So basically, I finally met his mom, and then I brought something. I was like, "Oh, good. I'm glad I have a gift." And he's like, "Fudge, I didn't bring something for your mom." And I said, "Oh no, like don't worry about it. It's not. It's like no big deal. Just like bring yourself. That's all she would want." But I'm like, for me, I'm like, "No, I have to bring a gift to your mom." So it's like, it's a weird thing.
Weird double standard.
Mhm.
So basically, um, there was like 1 year where it was like Christmas, and Jordan asked me if he should bring my parents anything for Christmas because he was dropping by. And I was like, oh, like no one's ever thought about that before. So I was like, okay, like I guess you can get like a 50, like, or like I forget what it was, but it's just like a gift certificate to like a local restaurant that they like both really enjoy. So he like ends up giving this my dad the card being like, hey, Merry Christmas. My dad never opens the card for some reason for a couple of days. And then I go ask my mom and I was like, hey, like, did you like see the card? My mom's like, no. And I did go to my dad. I was like, where's the card? And he's like, oh, it's just in the drawer and stuff. And I was like, did you open it? And he's like, no, not yet. So I finally got them to open it. And then my mom like freaked out because she's like, oh my God, he got me a gift. And like, and she was like, I didn't get him anything back. And she's like, Wanda, like, what do I do? Like what gift do I get him? It's Christmas. Like you have to help me. I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't want anything right now. And I was like, just appreciate the gift. And she's like, no, 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 no. Cue 2 years of her bothering me literally every single time there was any kind of special occasion, holiday, or whatever, being like, hey, like, have you thought about a gift yet? Is there anything that he wants? Is there anything that he wants? I'm like, I don't know, nothing. Like, I don't know. But like, finally, 2 years later, last Christmas, we were finally able to get him something. And my mom's like, ah, I feel at peace now. I can finally rest. And and then she was like, "Please never get me a gift again."
That's
Wow, that's dedication.
I understand the emotions. It's like you like you don't feel reciprocated, you know? That's like
Mhm.
inequality now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that with regards to meeting the parents, if they don't invite you to meet their parents, I think that's a big sign, and you should not take that
Mhm.
lightly. Yeah, Wanda's situation reminded me of that. So yeah.
That's a really good point. So me and Nick, so I think like he had brought up first meeting his mom, and it was kind of like he kind of like threw it on me like halfway through our date. And was like, "Oh, like you need to use the bathroom. Like let's go back to my house. Like you'll have to see my mom though. Like you can say hi and meet her." And I was like, "Oh my god, it looks so gross right now. I'm not like in the mindset. I don't have a gift for her, so I didn't say anything." And I was like, okay. I feel like you really want me to." And he's like, "Okay, like, you're not comfortable with it. You don't have to." And then our next date, we get to use the bathroom, and and I was like, "Oh, we can go back to my house, use the bathroom. By the way, you'll have to say hi to my mom, like, you'll meet my mom and everything." And then he kinda freaked out, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm not ready, I'm dressed so poorly."
Oh,
And then yeah, so that went back and forth until we finally were like, "Okay, I think we're in a good spot in our relationship, let's meet the mom." But then he met my mom first, and that was, like, kinda awkward with my mom. For some reason, I don't know, my mom was being awkward that day. And then, I met I met his mom? Yeah. No, it took me a while to meet his mom because his mom was always feeling under the weather, and she got her COVID shot and everything, and then my mom was like, "Oh, have you met his mom yet?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, if you can introduce him to the parent, but he hasn't introduced you to the parent, that means he's not taking your relationship seriously. You should be careful here." And I was like, "Mom, Jesus Christ." Good advice, though. I agree, but yeah, thanks for keeping an eye out for me, Mom.
I've never actually, I don't know of anyone who's been in that situation where they're like, "Oh, like, I never invited them to meet my parents." Like, I was invited, I just said no, or like I try to get out of it as much as possible.
I feel like it's for I think the very first time meeting them is awkward, but then
Mhm.
afterwards, I feel like it's for the best. Like, I want them to be part of my life. Like, I want them to know how my family works so that they can be like, "Oh, yeah, I totally understand, like, your point of view."
After you pass the honeymoon stage where you're being your authentic self, there's still parts of you that you like don't show to your partner. So
Mhm.
when they meet your family, it does allow them to get to know you from different perspectives, for better or for worse.
That's actually a really great point too. Like, how many months in would you say, like, your true self comes out during the relationship? To you, Kathy.
Actually, it's before started dating Kim, most of my relationships have been like around 6 months in duration. So I think that 6 months is a pretty important time period because once you pass that, for me personally, it's like I'm invested. Like this is the real deal. But before that, it's like you can be on your best behavior.
What about you, Wanda?
I have no idea. I think it really depends on the person. Like, I really wanna say, like, I think, like, after 3 months, like, if you're not all like, 80, 90% your authentic self, I think, like, there's something, like, not wrong, but it's just, like, I think you should, try harder to be yourself. Like, I don't know, like, become
Yeah.
more comfortable. Like, like, this is not tangible advice, but, like, I think it's, like, you want to get as comfortable as you can as fast as possible because, like, comfort is also the indicator of, like, something that's good and long lasting, kinda thing, and, like, to Kathy's point with, like, the 6 months and everything, like, I always thought that if I, like, made it past a year in a relationship, that was it. That was the, like, relationship that was like, "This is, like, the end, I'm never gonna date again," and, it wasn't like that, and now I do have, like, weird, I guess, like, insecurities about, like, what if it does fail, like, 6, 7 years from now? Like, what do I do then? Like, how will I ever know? Kinda thing, and that's terrifying for me.
I was thinking that the same like the other day too. I was like, how will you really know when the relationship ends? Like, think about John Hamm, his previous partner he was with for like 12 years. How do you know for people that long? Like what? I don't I don't want to waste like 12 years of not waste, I guess, but like you gotta
Mhm.
start over. Like I'll be old. I won't be as funny. I won't have like perky boobs. Like, you know?
I think you'll be funnier in 12 years.
Aw. Yes. You think my boobs will be perkier too?
I did say that.
You'll only be, like, almost
Yeah.
40. Like, if you don't have kids, you'll
Oh
be
god.
okay.
Oh god. When I become my true authentic self is maybe about 3 months into a relationship. No, I have this weird thing though where I feel like I'm not always my authentic self with every single person. Like I feel like I'm always hiding like a little bit of myself. And like I
And I
showed
think everybody does, though.
right, yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know if like there's a definitive timeline. But I will say for now, I am maybe 80% there. I think he hasn't seen the worst side of me yet.
What is, like, the worst side of you, would you
I
say?
don't know. I think the worst side is when I have, like, conflict and stress in my life. Actually, I don't know. Maybe if we have to, like, tackle, like, an obstacle together.
Mm.
I feel like that will oh, the stress test, that's what you're talking about, Wanda. We have to go on vacation together.
I mean, you
That
kind of are will be this coming weekend.
a local vacation, does that count?
It's the step forward.
So, if I come back still in a relationship, we pass the mini stress test.
Have you started packing it? Has he started packing it?
Kathy, please. It's literally still the weekend.
Yes, but,
Oh, yeah.
longtime listener. She knows.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about meeting the friends? How did you guys find that? Was that better or worse than meeting the parents?
Oh my god. Meeting friends is actually such a big indicator, you know? F My previous, partners, when I meet their friends, there's always a couple that's like, "Why?" Like, "Why are you allowed and why do you associate with this person?" I think meeting the friends can be almost as intimidating as meeting the parents, especially if, your partner has been with that group of friends for, like, their whole lives or a large part of their lives. It's important to meet both sides of friends. I think my philosophy of relationships, a big thing is balance, you know, and it doesn't have to be like equal, equal, but it has to be balanced. Like you meet some of their friends, they meet your friends. Yeah, I enjoy meeting friends. What about you, Wanda?
I think it's way less stress inducing for me, but I also think it's like a very good indicator of like if something's gonna last. Like if you like their friends, I guess. Like you don't need to
Hmm.
love them. They don't need to become your best friends, but like you should at least like them kind of thing. And you don't mind hanging out with them, but at the same time, you should also be willing to like bring them around your friends. Like not necessarily that you need your friends' approval of them, but more so of like because if you hang out with your friends a lot and like you never want to bring your partner around them, like I think that's something that's just like why not? Like are
Hmm.
they like not jiving with your friends? Like are you embarrassed of them? Like what is there's like something wrong there. I was very fortunate, I guess, this time that I met friends before, like when we were still friends. So like I knew everyone already and I didn't have to like re-meet the friends, I guess, and kind of like same for him because like there were a few times where he's already met some of my friends just on like separate occasions. So like because there was not that like anxiety in the relationship aspect of it as well, it was like a lot easier and a lot less like nerve wracking.
Think I've only started recently bringing him around. I think like you met him in July, Wanda? Like this month or June, late June.
When did things open?
Yeah, it was around the time like Ontario started opening up. That was when we had a double date and he met you guys first.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. I think you and Jordan were like super sweet, like your usual casual extroverted self with him, and that like made things really easier. Yeah, shout out to you guys, you and Jordan. Um, but I feel like meeting the friends is good, I think. Because I think meeting like your friends are a reflection of who you are, you know? Like you really want to make sure that they're surrounding themselves with good people. I mean, they don't have to be like good people, just like good morals. And, I don't know where I'm going with this.
That's another episode, friendship.
Yeah. Okay. So some of his friends, they do like sketch things, but they seem like nice people. I think they very rarely get together because of their schedules. But I've met them once or twice, and yeah, usually I bring him around with like my friends. Um, I think we're still in the early stages though, so I feel like he hasn't been too stressed out. He does say that he's a little bit quieter meeting new people, which is understandable. But I think he's coming out of his shell with Wanda and Jordan in particular,
Aw.
which is
Aw.
sweet. But maybe it's because I like that he met them first. Maybe that might be why. Um, but yeah, I think it's always a little bit tricky with friendships. I'm always used to like welcoming people into like the friend group, like forcing the conversation a little bit, like having that small talk. Like I've taken out like a friend's girlfriend out to dinner before because I was like,
Mm.
oh yeah, like let's get to know you a little bit. A mistake. JK, JK. For it to be on the other end, I feel like it's a little bit awkward. Like I feel like maybe like they don't want me there or something, or like why aren't they talking to me as much as I would talk to them? Like
Mm.
I don't know, it's a little bit different, but I understand that, like, some people are, like, more extroverted or introverted than others. But it's okay because I'm still, I think, my usual self.
I think also when you bring your partner around friends or in a more bigger social setting, like a party or something, it really helps you get to know what they're like in a social situation, which is actually very important, you know, because it's not always just going to be you two. Like you're going to meet the world, and you know, one time I brought someone as a plus one, and it was very uncomfortable because our levels of social energy and interaction was did not mesh, and so that's
That
but
was
yeah,
really interesting. I didn't even think about that.
yeah.
Wanda, have you ever been in that situation? Like your significant other, like, did not match the same social energy as you?
Oh, yeah, like 100%.
I didn't
Like
wanna say yes for you, but I wanted you to say
yeah, very opposite personality, like me, very extroverted, I put in quotations, and him very introverted. It was just like they never talked as much as I wanted them to talk kinda thing, and, like, they still wanted to, like, always hang out with people and always wanted to, like, do things, but at the same time, whenever they got to that situation, they didn't really do much. And it was like it was always very awkward. Like, so I always felt like this pressure to always be like, well, what are they doing? Like I always had to worry, like, are they having fun? Like, and then I stopped having fun because of that.
Hmm.
Same. I had that same experience. And I think that even if you don't match the same social energy, that's okay if you talk about it and
Mhm.
like you're like, why did you feel uncomfortable? And like open communication
Mhm.
resolves a lot of differences. But at the beginning, you're like, whoa, you know, indicate something.
Do you think if they had, like, shitty friends, that would be a deal breaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Dep
you, Wanda?
Depends on where their friends are. Like if they never see them, then it's just like, eh.
But isn't that a bigger red flag? It's like if someone tells you that they don't have many close friends or they don't have friends, period, you're like, whoa, let's dig a little deeper on this.
If they don't have friends, I think that's a huge red flag to me because I'm like, I don't have the time and pressure to be your only friend too. Like your friend and your girl. I can't be both. Like we
Mhm,
can no, I mean, no. Ideally you be friend and girlfriend, but you can't be the only friend,
Mhm.
mhm.
because then like who you gonna rant to when you're mad at me? Me?
Yeah, ideally, actually, yes.
I mean, yes. And it's like I need space from you sometimes. I love having my I love me time. Okay, it depends. Yeah, I agree with one. It depends on how shitty they are. Like if they try to like kill me or something, I feel like that's pretty shitty. Or mug me or like any of like illegal things to me. What are things you guys actively try to do to keep the relationship alive? Wanda.
Can you come back to me?
Okay, Kathy.
As you grow in your relationship, the other person grows too. One thing that helps me visualize like a healthy relationship is knowing that there's me, there's the other person, and then there's our relationship, right? So I think nurturing hobbies that we share together and then that have and then what they have helps us like, move forward and grow.
What are things you do to try to keep the relationship alive?
Not be a toxic person.
Just to actively try to do that, Wanda?
Like, it's yeah, like, what Kathy said is kind of vague, but it's at the same time, it's like, I don't know anything specific outside of just, like, making sure that you're considerate, um, I guess, to the other person, like, not like, it there of course, there's you, but then there's, like, of course, the relationship, as Kathy said, so it's, like, just being considerate of you, them, and the relationship, and it's just, like, I don't know, being a good person? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Maggie?
Well, I mean, I'm only like 3 or 4 months in, so, like, I feel like if the relationship's not alive right now, like, we should just throw in the towel. I mean, okay, I like to do monthly check-ins with my boyfriend, and usually around our monthly anniversary, I'm like, "Hey, just checking in, our manager one-on-one performance review right now. What are you happy with? What are you not happy with? What should we improve on here? What should we continue to do more of?" I feel like that's always good. I mean, ideally, we be continuously having those conversations, but it's if you approach it like the corporate work structure, you're always having your weekly meetings with your manager anyways, but this is your performance review now, you know? I was just gonna say, this is, I think, something that everyone should really try to do. I mean, mostly because I've talked to, like, friends beforehand, and they're like, some things in the relationship that didn't work was, like, miscommunication or, like, we didn't communicate enough. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna, like, play into that game. I'm gonna give it my all, this is my first time. Like, let's go all in. Let's
Aw.
be as communicative as possible here."
A funny story about that is I think in the first or second year that Kim and I were dating, I just like turned to him one night and I was like, hey, like, is there anything that I do that annoys you? fully expecting him to say nothing, you're perfect, moving on, you know? No, he had a full list like prepared and it was insane. I was like, okay, let's go through them one by one. It was actually so funny. But like I could take it. And we were, we developed our communication skills and I do agree with Maggie, like these performance reviews are important to suss out each other's like, you know, how do we work together as a couple? Because you're not perfect, no one's perfect, but we think we are.
I think, like, no answer will make me happy, though. Like, when I say, like, "What bothers you about me? Like, what should I improve on?" And he always says, "Oh, nothing." But I'm like, "No, tell me. There has to be something." And I keep, like, pressing on and on until he says something. I'm like, "Oh, you really think that way? Okay." So nothing will please me.
It's like the oh,
He does that a lot. What are things in the past that you guys didn't do that caused the relationship to not work? Either you or, like, your ex.
I think just bringing up something that bugged you, it just comes back to communication for me.
Mm,
Um, yeah, like I think back to one relationship that was particularly, I would say, serious. And in the first few months, okay, I'll just go into specifics. I post the first time we ever went Instagram official. I did it unilaterally. I was like, I like this picture. We had a good time. I'll just post it. And then I remember him being like, oh, like I thought you would talk to me about it. But he didn't make it into a big deal. And so I was like, it's fine. But I think, you know, or if I were to go back or if there were to happen again, I would dive deeper into that. Like, oh, like what do you think I should have done? Like maybe just have a conversation about it, as a team, but not let the little things just kind of get buried under the rug is my point, you know?
Yeah, and I
hmm.
think, like, the other side of that is, like, listening to what they say. Like,
Yeah.
if it goes, like, in one ear and out the next, like, it doesn't really help or anything. Like, you can like, I can say, like, "Oh, I don't like this as much as I want," but then if they never do anything about it, then it's just like, "What am I still doing here for?" Like, you clearly don't care about my opinion enough to, like, value it and actually make changes to it. I guess on one end, it's just, like, I guess me forcing things that might have not really been there but just because of like wanting to like continue staying with them, just being able to let go a lot of things that were actually really important to me because I was just like I didn't want to deal with it, didn't want to deal with the confrontation, didn't want to deal with like the aftermath, like wasn't sure really like where to go. So I think I like pushed forward and just like compromised on like my own morals way more than I should have.
I don't have a lot of experience. I only have, like, kind of dating things, but I can say, like, why it didn't really work was because, like, I feel like one of us tried to change ourselves too much. Like let things slide a lot or, like, try to or agree with things that we didn't necessarily agree with and, like, change our personality a little bit too much to match them, and then afterwards, you're like, "Whoa, what am I doing right now?" And then it's like, "Well, nope, we're not compatible."
Yeah, I think if you let things slide for a little bit too long, it's hard to come back to it. And even like with us dating or a marriage that, it's like kind of goes past the point of no return. It's hard to bring it back in.
Yeah.
But on another note, it's like when relationships end, it's not a bad thing. Like
Mhm.
I like I said, I've had a series of like 6 month relationships and then, so at one point I was like, oh, I suck at this. But then a colleague of mine said, maybe you're just insightful enough to have cut it off, at a good time. You didn't let it go on for years. I thought that was really helpful for any of you listeners out there.
Oh, that was beautiful. So, how do you know when it's time to take the next step in your relationship? Wanda,
Uh
you literally wrote this question. Why are you asking me?
Yeah. Yes, I know because I was looking for advice. I don't know, like I don't I don't know. I just plan things and things happen. Like I like I just say, "Hey, I want to go on vacation." And it's like that's a step technically, but then it's just like or like I say, "Hey, I want to move in together." Like so these are steps, but I don't know when like why I do it, but I just do it.
Like little things, I guess, in general, like meeting parents, going on vacation, that kind of thing.
Oh,
Except for something
oh,
more serious, whatever it is, or whatever is a major milestone in your relationship.
like how do you
How
start
do you
on it?
How
or
do you know
when?
when it's time?
Oh, right, right. I think going through difficulties together really, uh, like, I think, that in a relationship, you'll experience difficulties together, whether it's, getting stuck in a car on an icy road in the middle of nowhere and then having to, like, resolve that, or like, um, like, working through a difficult part of your relationship, like an argument that you had, like a really serious argument, um, and then working it's like uncomfortable conversations. It teaches you that the two of you are looking to work together, and you have good like, you work well as a team, you know? Because not to go on a rant, but I feel like a lot of movies and TV shows romanticize a relationship as being one that's, like, full of love and lust, and it's, like, all this, like, romantic stuff, but at the end of the day, you're a team, like, you're it's literally a group project forever, and you need to be okay with the fact that this is your team member, and so anything big or small, you're gonna have to figure it out with them. So, I think that going through these difficulties gives you a hint and of uh, the high likelihood of success of you working through bigger projects in the future. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
B projects, meeting one-on-one reviews. Guys,
Yeah.
relationship is basically like corporate.
Corporate capitalism.
Yeah.
You never know that you're gonna succeed when you take that next step, but you just have to, like, go in hoping and, like, having a good gut feeling that it's gonna work out, you know?
Hmm,
So
I agree with that actually, because I feel like you never really know until you just kind of know. But I'm also like an overthinker, so I'm like, why aren't we doing this yet? Like, what happened? Why are you doing this? And I either like make the first move myself, or I'm like, okay, let's really reflect here, man. What do we really want? With this? So then I just like go with the flow, kind of thing. I like to say that I go with the flow, but I don't know. I don't know if that's my. Okay, for now, I will say I go with the flow. I will change my answer next week or when we come back.
Try before you buy kind of thing. Like you can do small things to make like to be like, am I ready for the big things?
mm.
Interesting. So, like, saying "I love you," like, what's the small thing there? What do you mean try? Saying "I like you," and then next week be like, "Okay, I like saying that. Now I'll say I love you."
There's some things that you can't like there's some things that I don't actually I do. So funny enough, like so we have this like running joke where we always say the words like elephant shoes because elephant shoes, the mouthing of it is like the same as I love you.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so we just kept on saying that for a while, and then like we didn't actually end up saying it until like I guess one day that we're like one of us became more comfortable with saying it. Like it doesn't have to be that. Like it could just be like the smaller things that get you more comfortable to get like going to that next step. I mean it could
Huh.
be anything.
Oh, interesting. Elephant shoes is similar to "I love you." "Will you marry me" is similar to, um, "Wilmot to woe." Anyone in the comments, let us know what words sound like that. Let's get our boyfriends comfortable with that. I mean, JK, because, like, well, I'm not ready for that yet. Okay, let's talk about breakups now. How do you break up? Is there ever a right time?
I think when you know. Sometimes you're like, "Wow, this is not gonna work." Right, Wanda? Like, you were talking about that earlier.
I think I'm always the one that waits way too long because I'm always like, well, I can't do it around this. This is like a holiday. I can't do it around here. And like because it's like an anniversary. So I think the best months to do it are like June.
The best one to do.
'Cause it's like there's nothing there. Like, because like any other like season, right? Like you have Christmas, you have Thanksgiving, you have Halloween. I mean, maybe October is not that important, but still Halloween. You have New Year's, you have Valentine's Day, you have potentially your anniversary somewhere there, their birthday, your birthday. Um,
So
I don't know.
many.
You can't like Easter weekend. Like I guess some, like I don't know, like people celebrate that with their family and everything. So there's never like I always want to be like, okay, like I need to try to plan it in an opportune time. But of course there isn't one. And like I think it's just me being scared and like holding out to what I think is like, oh, they'll take it well if I do it during this time. But that doesn't really happen. So I end up extending it for way longer than I should, even though like I've made up my mind way sooner. And like Kathy mentioned this earlier, where it's like if you're on the receiving end of that, you're like, well, I'm going to try to salvage this, but like the other person might have thought about it for a very long time and there's no way to change their mind, and their mind is absolutely made up already. So it's like very hard to, I guess, balance. I don't think there is a right time. Maybe try to stick away from their birthdays. Um, like it's not maybe the best of times, like, or there's like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine episodes, I think, about this where he was going to break up with her, and then it was her birthday, and then her mom died. So then, like, when he ended up breaking up with her, he gave her a gift receipt that was for like like a few days before her birthday. So she knew that he was going to break up
Oh,
with her way before, and so that made it so much worse.
yeah, Terry's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there never really is a right time to break up. And I guess like it kind of sucks being on both ends. I'm assuming like being the breaker upper and the breakup B.
Yeah, when we were younger, it was like, you got dumped. Like that word was
Oh
terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the dumpy was like, oh, so
Yeah.
tragic.
It somehow makes it worse that like you were the person who got dumped. It's like it's no one's fault.
Yeah.
I think like Hollywood just makes it sound like, "Ha, you were undesirable, you uggo. You were dumped by the hot person."
I think it's bad on each end. Like I think it's like it sucks to be the person that has to like break up with someone, but it also
Mhm.
sucks to be the person who gets dumped too, especially if it's like very blindsided.
Mhm.
Hmm.
What do you guys usually say during a breakup?
Oh my god.
Not to get personal. Just keep it generic if you want to. Or we can skip this question. It's all good.
It's not
I feel
me, it's
like,
you.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like a unilateral breakup without a discussion is common, like pretty uncommon when you're older, right? Would you guys agree? Like breakups are usually a conversation about it.
Like, what do you mean by like a unilateral? Like, give me an example.
It's like, because Maggie's asking what words to say to
Yeah.
dump someone, right? Like if you just tell someone like it's over without any discussion,
Oh,
that's like
okay.
pretty cool. But it also, I guess, depends on the duration of your relationship. I'm just thinking about more serious ones. I don't think there are a series of words that I would say are breakup words. Yeah, but don't ghost people. I just want to say that. I
Mm.
guess I've done it and it's not fun.
You ghosted a boyfriend?
Oh no, not a boyfriend, but just
Oh, okay.
in the genre of yeah. No, I haven't.
Oh my god. I feel like that's like the worst way to break up with them.
That's what I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
After like
So
after like however much time you guys spent together and you're gonna break up with them by ghosting them. Whew. Actually, I saw a Reddit thing about this. It was like, this girl, like, walked in on her boyfriend of 5 years cheating on her with her best friend. So then like, completely ghosted him, like, she didn't even wanna have the conversation. She accepted a job that she was offered, she was on the fence about. She deleted her number. She told her family that she and him broke up and it wasn't good to not contact her. Like, she, like, changed everything. So he basically could not find her and deleted all her social media and stuff. So that was, like, a ghosting thing that I approve of.
yeah,
Yeah, because that like at that point, it's just like that they're like, what could they possibly say in that conversation that is going to make
Mhm.
you like, oh, like I
hmm
completely understand why you did this, like,
Mhm.
oh, like I'm going to take you back with open arms and everything. Like, there's nothing that they could say in that situation where you're like, okay, I'm going to change my mind about this, and this
Mhm.
deserves like a conversation.
So this question, Wanda, I know you wrote this, but I'm a little iffy. I don't understand it. Tell us about your breakups, even if they were before relationships.
Because you
Is
always,
that true?
the last part was for you, because you always say that you don't have
Aw.
any, but there's always that, like, you always mention, oh, but like I've done it before it was even anything.
Oh yeah, like just like the casual like dating stage. Like you're not really official, but you're just like just talking kind of thing. Like the flirting stage. Is that what it's called? The talking stage? The breakup and the talking stage. Before, I think my very first time, my friend Nikki, shout out Nikki, kept pressuring me. He's like, "You can't ghost a guy. That's so rude." So then I texted him and I was like, "Hey, I don't like see this moving forward. Like I like you, but I don't think like we're compatible and I'm like I don't think we're like meant for each other, kind of thing. And he was like, "Oh, I think you're like really cool. Like, I think we should still be friends though. Like, we can still keep seeing each other as friends." And I was like, no, I don't want to like lead you on or anything. Like, let's not do this. Like, I have enough friends, that kind of thing." And then I hated that conversation so much. So then moving forward, I just ghosted. And that was really bad of me. I am so sorry to everyone out there who I ghosted. Do you guys go through the same thing? Like when you're in the talking stages?
I've ghosted many people before. I'm so sorry, but that's just how
Right? Like, do you have that conversation with them? Where you're like, "Hey, I'm not actually that into you."
I was a shitty person. So
Ew.
I did not. I was just like this like I've not put in enough effort for this, and we have not put in enough effort. It's like I know that it's gonna suck, but it's gonna be like me breaking up with you in the flirtation stage seems very weird because there's nothing really there anyways. There's nothing to really discuss. And like, yes, I should have been a mature person and been like, hey, like I don't think this is going anywhere. Like we should just call it off now. But I did not want to text those words because I was lazy, not a good person, and ghosting was just so much easier and so much more popular.
It made you seem like the cool girl, right?
Yeah,
Like, it made you have power.
yeah, it did. I did have a weird power trip about it.
Mhm.
Mm,
I get it.
sorry.
I feel
Yeah.
like online dating is about ghosting, like when I
Yeah.
was younger and I used online dating, it's like just like what you guys are saying, it's not formal enough to be breaking up. So mutual ghost.
Yeah. It kinda sucks, but, it's a dog eat dog world.
Yeah, but every other situation where it's actually oh, excuse me, when it's actually been something, it's always been in person. I've always done it in person. Even when
Oh,
Maggie forced me to go on a date with someone and I
yeah.
had to break up with them like a day after I broke up with
I
them in
remember the
person.
story.
Yeah. I've told it before
Love
and
it.
I will keep telling it to the day I die. Yeah,
Love it.
I've always at least tried, I've bussed all the way to, like, their city or whatever just to, I guess, like, break up with people. It's I think they deserve to have it in person. I don't know if that's just, like, the movie trope in me that believes that that should be a thing, but yeah, it's
No, I
usually
agree.
yeah.
I feel like if you've been dating for, like, so long, like, they deserve more than, like, a text or a
Yeah.
phone
I've
unless you're,
actually
like,
only
miles away. Sorry. Sorry,
yeah.
Cutter?
It's actually funny that Wanda mentions this because I've actually only ever broken up with and been broken up with over technology. like
What?
like text, call, like actual call and like video call. Yeah. Never in person. That would be very awkward. That's so funny. Wow. It's a therapy session.
If you could go back in time, would you have wanted them to break up in person?
Not really, because I'm a very I'm a word person. I'm also not very patient, so I wouldn't want to wait until you get here to like tell me in person. So I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually you know it's coming. Like, if it's in person, like, you kind of like there has to be, like, a few hints, I guess, that's, like, you might know that this, like, them seeing you this time might be the time.
hmm Yeah. It makes the goodbye a lot harder if
Yeah,
it's in person.
more emotional, I would say,
hmm
because it's just, like, I guess, like, talking about it versus, like, texting about it, you become, like there's, like, a lot of, like, emotions that come out, especially if you're in, like, a longer term thing.
mm Yeah, my relationships were not long term, so maybe that's why.
Okay, after the relationship, how much time do you guys take to grieve before you, like, kind of accept that it's happened and then move on? Like, what's your process?
I don't know, I feel like I have not been the one who has been dumped since grade 9. So, I guess I've always processed it during the relationship, if that makes sense. Like, I've made up my mind, I knew what's gonna happen, and, like, afterwards, yeah, like, maybe I'll have, like, a cry sesh or whatever, but usually within a few hours, I'm pretty much over it because I it took
No.
me the relationship, like, the end of the relationship to get over it, so it's like I was mostly okay afterwards.
Well, grieving a breakup, I think it's very personal. I think a timeline is kind of not useful because you know everyone's their unique person. I personally take so long to get over relationships, but it's okay because at the end, like I still got over it. Like a friend of mine was struggling with a breakup, and she was like, "How long did it take you to get over yours?" And then I thought about it, and it was they say usually it's double the duration of your relationship, but for me, it was like quadruple, like 4 times, and or, somewhere along there, but it's okay, like, you're growing as a person, you're rediscovering your new self, and it's yeah, I have a ton of YouTube TED Talks and spoken word poetry and music. It's like a whole playlist, and sometimes when I wanna, like, up myself, I just watch it again. Feel sad, Maggie's cry list, it's made it on there, but it's okay because like, it's a matter of developing your own resiliency, and I think that in life you need to be resilient, and this is one way to grow that skill for you in a very tough way, but
I mean, I don't have a lot of experience to say on this, but I feel like there's no proper time, I guess, to like take all the time you need. But I've also had friends before who have taken, I feel like, too much time. And I feel like they have grieved for, like, it's taken them a long time to process that the relationship ended longer than the relationship actually was. Because I think they get caught up in the ifs and the what ifs, the
mm,
kind of thing. So that like stresses them out even more. So while I say that take all the time you need, I still say a year, less than a year, and then like do something else. No, because
I
it's
think
self-care, but also, like, you need to self-care means to move forward and, like,
mhm,
embrace who you are, and you broke up for a reason, you gotta move forward.
yeah, I think there's different stages of, moving on, like, the what ifs part, very dark. Don't stay in there for too long, like, try to get out of there as soon as you can, but other stages are fun. It's like the first time you're okay with seeing a couple on the street without wincing. The first time your friend introduces you to their partner and you don't feel like insecure about it, like there's a lot of like micro steps to move forward with your life, and just want to clarify, was not in that
Yeah.
stage for too long. But that's very dark, but yeah.
I think it's like when moving on, it doesn't necessarily mean like ready for your next relationship. Like moving
Mhm.
on, just more so about moving on from the relationship itself. Like it's okay if you're like, well, I'm not ready to date still. And like after like a year from your last relationship. Cause like I also think it depends on how it ends as well. Like if it wasn't necessarily like you were broken up with and they were like something happened to them and they might end up passing, like I think that warrants like more time. And there are situations where it's like some things just end up taking longer.
Yeah. And like processing what happened,
Yeah.
and like if it was traumatic, working through that
Hmm.
by journaling or going to see a mental health specialist, things like that. Mm.
Oh. So kind of like jumping ahead, but like, do you guys think there is a set time between the breakup and when you can like start dating again?
Uh, I don't think it's a set time. It's more of like a mentality that you should be in. Like you have to be really honest with yourself. Are you over the person that you just dated or the person before that? Like just really be honest with yourself because you don't want to bring any dirty laundry into the new one. It just gets way too messy, and that other person doesn't deserve that. And they don't even know about it. Like let you guys like figure out your other obstacles. Like there's gonna be other obstacles, don't let you be the one bringing that in. And yeah, I think that's the main thing. Just mentally, you're ready for a committed relationship.
I think
What
there's
about
like
you?
this thing where if you like however long your relationship was, like, and then put that into months or something. So if you're like, or like, and then have it or whatever. So if you were together for like 7 years, then you have 7 months. Like you should wait like a minimum like 3.5 months before you move on, kind of thing. And like I don't know where I heard that from.
That sounds very little.
It sounds great.
But like that's apparently like a thing some people use, that they're like, well, like I need to wait this long, or I need to wait until this person has been single for this long, I guess, before I can consider a relationship with them, because otherwise they're not over their ex. If you really want a clear cut timeline.
So do you guys have any like lessons learned from your breakups? Like learned about yourself, learned about like what you were like in relationships? How did you apply your new learnings?
It's weird because I think I learned things from myself in the relationship as well as myself from the breakup process. For from the relationships, just learning about um learning how to communicate better and like what type of people I am or I'm not interested in dating in my future. And then learning things from the breakups. For me, like I learned a lot about how I process pain and like my ability to move on.
Okay, Wanda, how about you?
No, I'm perfect. From the relationship, like I figured out what I like and I don't like in a partner. I figured out more so about like myself, too, like how I am in a relationship. I like it it's hard to think back and reflect and be like, what did I do wrong? Kind of thing in like a relationship where it's like when you blame the other person, it's hard to think back about what you did wrong. So it's like I don't know, maybe like I enabled the behavior. I didn't like stand up for myself, like things like that, I guess. Kind of thing. I let things slide for like too much. Like it's weird to say those things because they sound like very passive things that like you don't like it's not things that you're like actively doing and it's like yes they're bad but also like you're not the one who I guess like caused the problems. I don't know. But like
I'm
from
just
the
perfect.
yeah, I'm not trying to like I that's not what I'm trying to say, I guess. Like at Nicholas, don't take that that way. It's just like it's hard knowing what you like and you don't like from the relationship. I think that's like every single relationship you have, you start to like discover more and more about yourself and more about
Mm.
what you like. And then from the breakup, I guess it's more about like I don't know, emotional maturity, I guess. Like I found out that I could confront people more easily. Like maybe
Hmm.
that, I guess maybe like cascading of like because I wanted to avoid conflict so often that I think I try to like avoid the talk kind of thing, like the ultimate talk that would lead to a breakup or something. So maybe knowing that like I'm stronger than I actually am. Oh, finally got there.
I also wanted to add about the confrontational conversations because I know on this podcast you guys talk about being confrontational or lack of it. I think like dating has really taught me how to have these hard conversations, you know that these are opportunities that allow you to advocate for yourself, articulate an issue, and kind of listen to their feedback on it, like I didn't like it when you did this, and then like confront it because I used to be so bad at it. Like my first relationship, I would just sit there in front of them and then like just like twiddling my thumbs, like knowing something on my mind that I wanted to bring up, like you made me feel dumb or I didn't, but my partner would look at me and be like, what's up? Like, and they had to wait like 5 minutes for me to just start talking because it's uncomfortable because I think us girls, Asian girls, we're socialized to be nice and accommodating and not like what's that like cause waves. But when something bothers you, like that bothers me. And if you let it go on, that's going to be the end of the relationship if you're not communicating, right? So, anyway, I would say props to relationships for teaching me how to communicate and be an advocate. So now I'm a lawyer, going to be, not yet.
100%. I would say like there has been like so many times where I can think back to where I'm like upset or something and I just don't talk about it because I'm like, well, I know this is going to lead to something that I don't want to like get into kind of thing even though it really bothered me. I just like would like hold my tongue. And even now I think I still suffer from it a little bit. Like before it'd probably be like at least a lag of like a few days before I can like even
Yeah.
start to talk about it. But now it's only like maybe like a few minutes or like at worst like it's a couple of hours where I have to like think about and like process my emotions first and like I have to do that by myself when like it's something that's like upsetting me. So it's like
Mhm.
I think because of like relationships I think I've gotten a lot better at that and then like I guess the relationship itself has benefited from that as well because like the other person like you can quickly correct something and it doesn't fester and like you don't get like this becomes the what if thing kind of too because it's um like
Mhm.
you start thinking about it like more and more in your head and the more it festers into something worse and like it could have been solved by like just having a quick conversation.
I resonate with all this, like, even though I'm, like, new in my relationship, I feel like it takes me a while to, like, even get to the confrontation part. Like, my strategy is I gotta think about it, and then I get to the point where I overthink, and then I'm like, "Hey," I confide in, like, a few people. I'm like, "Hey, is this, like, normal? Like, am I overreacting right now? Am I going crazy?" And then I get people's opinion on it, and then Oh, Kathy's thing was journal, so I did that one for my first kind of disagreement with my boyfriend. That actually really helped me a lot, and then I just, like, made a list of things, and I was like, what really annoys me here? Like, what am I unhappy about?" And I kept pressing Y, so I didn't really bother anyone in that process. Um, and yeah, there's, like, different things, but yeah, definitely, like, confrontation is, like, very difficult for me too, and I feel like maybe because maybe because, like, girls are taught differently, like, you're taught, like, guys like you more when they make the first move or kinda thing. So it's like, "Huh, do they even like me? Why?" And I overthink a lot. And I'm like, "Why am I always the one making the first move? Why do I have to be the one to have this conversation? Why am I the one bringing up all the stuff that we confront each other about? Why is it always me? Why isn't it him?"
I
Well,
think
this
it's
people
funny about like the five why, like you kept on pressing yourself why, because like in business school there's like that whole thing about the five whys, and it's just like you have a line and then you ask why, so you dig deeper and deeper until you get to the root cause of it, which is like the end of the five
Oh,
whys. Yeah.
Oh
is that what
god,
you're trying to
this
do?
is so engraved in my brain.
Wait, Maggie, you also said that dating is like networking, right? It's all starting to
Mhm.
make sense now.
Damn, I got some deep-rooted issues. How do you know you're ready to move on? And what advice do you have for our listeners out there when they're trying to move on? You know what? Let's
Mhm.
do like how you know it's time to start dating. I think that's interesting too. Keep it spicy.
To keep it light, I guess like you just find people attractive again. You have that feeling of like you want to flirt with someone, and the first few times won't be successful. Probably you'll be kind of rusty, and then, but it's like I think letting yourself be vulnerable again, and not pushing yourself to that stage, but you're like, I'm ready to get hurt again, or like I'll be okay. I can get myself out of it if I do get hurt. Is a good sign.
Yeah, from the other side of that as well, I think it's like knowing that you've worked on yourself as much as that you can work on, I guess. Like you think
Mhm.
that you're like, you know what, like I've gone through all these improvements, like I'm happy with myself, like I'm happy with who I am like as a single person. So now I'm like I can find someone who I can be happy with like in a relationship kind of thing. So like I think the most important part is like you are, I guess, improved, I guess. I don't know. Like you have gotten there yourself and then you're not relying on someone else to give you that happiness again. How do you feel about going into like a potential breakup into the future? Not necessarily I'm saying with like with Nicholas or something, just like how do you feel about it?
Do I feel prepared?
Yeah, do you feel prepared?
I don't think anything will ever really prepare me for a breakup, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's still gonna like destroy me. There is this TikTok going around where it's like this will either be the biggest no, this relationship will either head into marriage or will be the worst heartbreak of my life. And I really resonate with that, and I'm very concerned because I'm only, like, 3 or 4 months in, and I'm like, "This is, like, the first relationship. I guess this is how it feels."
Yeah,
That's
when I was
terrifying.
going through my first breakup, my friend was like, "Don't worry, it's gonna get worse next time, like the next breakup." And I was like, "How does this help?" But it kind of does. Puts it into perspective, like what you're going through right now. It's not that bad. The second part was kind of scary, but it was true.
Wait, you found, like, the next one like, all the breakups were, like, kept getting worse and worse, or, like, you found it was, like, the same amount of heartbreak, or, like, it got easier?
It actually did get worse because
Damn.
the first breakup was like high school relationship, very superficial. When it broke up, I cried. Next day, it was fine. Like, not that quick, but like relatively. But then as you get older, um, the relationship gets more serious. They meet more people of your social world, where it's like whether it's family, friends, relatives, and it just gets like more difficult to say goodbye. Um, but yeah, but your ability to overcome the earlier ones prepares you for the next ones. And like you're always improving, growing, hopefully.
Nick, do me a favor and break up with me now to make it easy for me. JK, please don't do that. Do you feel the same too, Wanda? You feel like it got worse after each breakup or it got easier?
I mean, I would say like it obviously got worse because like the period of time like of the
Mm.
relationship got much longer, like exponentially. So I think like it's much harder to break up with someone or get dumped by someone who you've been with for a long time versus being with someone for like a few months kind of thing. because like your lives become so intertwined with each other, and you're like, oh, I'm basically like losing this part of my life, which is not always a bad thing.
Well, what's your question of the week?
Yeah.
Have you ever been dumb?
What do you say during a breakup? How can we perfect our breakup scenario?
Should Maggie be doing like a fake breakup simulation on this podcast?
Role play.
Ooh, yeah, I'll be Nick. Break up with me.
It's not me, it's you. I think though that this will be our Wanda, correct me if I'm wrong. This will be our last podcast for the next month. We are taking a 1-month hiatus.
Yeah. So when Maggie mentioned at the beginning that she is literally not free any weekend in August, this was planned. So it's my birthday month, and I just got to celebrate my birthday for an entire month, which is why we needed to take a hiatus. I'm kidding. It's usually only a week. Anyways, so yeah, this is the last episode for until September, I guess. And then we actually have a very special episode planned for when we come back. So stay tuned for those. And in the meantime, like us and follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Like us and follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And join us for the beginning of September for another episode of Apologetically Me. Or maybe never again. Oh.
Thank you, Kathy, again for joining us. We really appreciate it. We love your advice and candor.
Bye.
Thanks. Love you. Bye.